Seen these favorites and you'll get it. Come to bank, come invest it. I get trapped and I have it. Money finds me attracted. I'm the type to make others turn a profit. But no vodka, but it ain't chocolate. I'm just being honest, don't work for this shit. I'm usually ain't modest, but this beat lit. So I'm going off the list, talking my shit. Yeah, I'ma be the hottest.
All right, let's see if this works better. Cal, you're there.
Okay.
You got me.
I would have to, I think so.
I got you.
Okay.
So I think we're good. I think we're good. I'm
Okay.
hoping we're good. I guess everyone will probably let us know in chat if we're not good. I just realized that they're probably talking about us in the podcast channel. And so I just went over here and this is what I see. Alan says Cal just not cooperating with the pod these last couple weeks. Cal does seem to be the common thread here.
I'm getting asked.
Jesus. Yeah, you were just getting wrecked.
I deserved, honestly. But I will say this for any of my haters out there. Obviously, Alan, huge hater. I did do a solo pod for like 3 minutes, thinking that you were gone. I saw you drop off the
Love
screen.
it so much.
I already told you that, but I was like, I got to pick up the pieces here, and I'm doing a solo pod. It took me like 3 minutes to figure out that you were just doing the pod yourself on YouTube.
Well, it was the weirdest.
I was talking to nobody.
It was the weirdest thing because I was the only reason I knew that it was still working for me was because Steven was talking to me in chat. That's the only reason that I knew it was still working for me, and he could see me and all that kind of stuff. So we were just going with it. But all right, we're back. Hopefully everyone else is back as well. But anyway, just to catch you up on my solo pod, I essentially just talked about your talking points that you had.
Good.
And then I just kind of mentioned how I thought like some of the most interesting races right now were between you and Sam for 4th place in the AL West. Jeff now kind of, I think, pulling away far enough in the NL Central where he's not going to look back. So the race there for me is kind of for second between Duke and Frank. I think that'll be interesting. And then in the NL West as well, Giants obviously best record in the league, but Joe making moves, making his team better. It'll be interesting to kind of see how that works out. Excuse me, how that works out. So That was basically all I said. Anything else you wanted to add onto that?
Not really. I did do a decent job by myself. I did go through all my points on my pod, but I assume you did a pretty solid job. So I think we can move on to the next whatever.
Awesome. Sounds great. So next for us will be, let's move on, talk about some trade stuff. If you're good with that.
Let's do it.
I think.
I was
gonna say I'll let you kind of go first. What were some of the trade, or I guess what was your maybe number one trade of this past week that's kind of caught your eye?
1,000% the one that just came through today.
Okay.
The Jordan Walker, Logan Gilbert trade.
Okay.
I said earlier that it's too many pieces for me to really wrap my head around. But I still think it's a wash at the end of the day.
Yeah,
like, I have a hard time having an opinion on it. I really do, because Sam makes a good point where it's really I get 23, whatever, however many more years than you can get out of Gilbert. Probably more points than you can get out of Gilbert collectively. You know, I get that point of it. And honestly, I still have faith that Jordan Walker's a Hall of Famer. So that's me, and it's obviously my bias.
Wow.
So,
wow.
I'm throwing that out there right now.
It's a lot of bias, but all right.
This is my Buster only Jackson Holiday tweet right here, and that's Jordan Walker Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So I will look back on this. Yeah.
It's very Joe's asking for a new link. You can just, Joe, if you need to, you can just go to, I don't know if you're actually watching it and you found it, you can just go to our channel, but I'll send it to you anyway.
But no,
there's that for you. And sorry, I was going to respond to what you were saying there with the trade. To me, and this, I feel like this is such a Sam trade. This is such a OG Sam trade, right?
Yes.
The Sam that I know has been missing for a while for obvious reasons, but it was very, very interesting to me. It feels like he gave up a lot to get a guy like Walker. That was very, very surprising to me. Obviously, Geloff is up and is nice. Walcott is up and nice too, so that's great. But I don't know. It's just a very interesting trade to me.
Gilbert's such a great contract. I mean, that is so hard to give up.
Yeah.
But it is, like you said, it's not unlike Sam to give up that contract. So, I mean, he still has Strider. I guess you can bank on that as far as the contract. Still has McClanahan. He still has great pitchers for cheap prices. I guess maybe this is just one too many for him. He's like, I can't use them all.
Well, and
So might as well get some bats.
yeah, and if Walcott and Walker, live up to kind of where they're at, I mean, that probably at the end of the day is worth it, right? I mean, it's one starting pitcher, but like you said, he's got a few. If they come up relatively soon and are productive, that probably evens it out in general. So it's certainly, again, like I said, certainly not the worst thing in the world. Just surprised me at how much he was willing to give up.
Especially for a guy like a Walker who's shown nothing of what we've been promised.
Exactly.
That's what sucks. I mean, it was supposed to be like a great hit tool, a great power tool. Has absolutely none of it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's doing okay in Memphis, and his hit tool is probably above average. Power isn't really there. He's not really driving the ball like he's supposed to.
Yeah.
Just right now, a disappointment. I feel like somewhere along the line he just got ruined. So that's you're kind of buying into that and hoping it pays off.
Yeah.
But that's usually what you'd get on the low. Selling a Gilbert, I feel like at probably one of his highest.
Yeah.
I don't, because Gilbert is probably one of those pitchers that's going to be hurt within the next year or two, like every other pitcher.
Probably.
So I mean, selling him at one of his highest peaks right now, where he's at his youngest and his most healthy.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought the return would be a little bit higher for it. But
yeah.
I
Interesting.
think swings over for Joe.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think another interesting one for me is the other trade that came through today, the Arelvis trade with Jeff, because I actually had reached out to Jake as well, just to kind of see what he was looking for in a shortstop. And I actually earlier this year traded Blake Mitchell to him. Was a guy that I drafted and really liked. I think has some promise. So him going to Jeff, and then the first round pick as well going to Jeff, plus Formella. I mean, I felt like that was a very good return for. Obviously, Arelvis is a good player, right? And he'll get plenty of time to get seasoned and become an MLB starter and all that kind of stuff. So certainly not a bad trade in any means. But I really love for a team that is essentially already at the top of the league. I really liked the return that Jeff got in moving Arelvis away.
Yeah, because I think you're banking on Farmelo being at like Arelvis's level. I think that
correct.
could be a wash in itself.
Correct.
And then you get a first round pick on top of it. Like that's great. And then, like you said, like you already like Mitchell, so I mean, it's just very solid return. Whereas the Braves are just saying, hey, I don't trust any of these assets.
Yep.
At least Martinez is up. I've seen him rake before. So
correct.
Yeah, I get it for both sides. Again, lead a little more towards Jeff.
What I guess probably arguably the trade maybe with the biggest MLB names, the Cole Glasnow trade. What was your thought on that one?
I didn't do enough digging on the contracts here, so let me take a little gander. Because Cole, I don't think is
Cole's
capable
50,
in any sense of the word.
Yeah, he's either 51 or 54 on a first.
$52 going to a Reds
something
team
like
that's not competing.
Yeah.
So I mean, does that mean you're competing?
Well, it's weird because Lenny's kept big contracts in the past, but it has not worked out for him at all.
Right. 52
so
is beyond big. I mean,
yeah, that's why I was my initial reaction to this was I was very surprised that it was Lenny who made that kind of move. I would now be shocked if he did not keep Cole. Unless, because it was, let's see, I got the.
Well, he does get a first round pick, but I still think to make it worth your while.
It's the Phillies though. Like,
oh, it's fair. It's a second round pick.
That could be, right? Know? Like, man. So I don't know. And I mean, what I will say is if he's banking on glass being glass and getting injured, okay,
you get nothing for it next year.
Then sure. And we can't discount the fact that maybe Lenny sells Cole at the trade deadline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he got the first round pick out of it, and he makes out better. So to me, those are the only two plausible options that make sense. I shouldn't even say that though, because what in ABL makes sense anymore. But yeah, I thought that was very, very interesting.
It's two pitchers who are basically at their best. I mean, you're done with them next year.
Yep.
They're both. One's coming off injury, one is frequently injured, and they're both also like probably the best in their respective leagues. It's just but yet one's like $20 more.
Yep.
So it's kind of, I don't know. It's not a trade, but
it'll be interesting to see though.
I dig an odd trade.
Yeah, right.
An odd trade.
That's what keeps us alive.
Yeah, exactly. But even more interesting is that what the Reds traded to get Glasnow. So I forgot about that.
Yeah.
My bad. Because Lenny also sent 2 first-round picks to get Glasnow.
Yep.
So you had to factor that into the deal too.
Yep.
Along with Gunnar Hoglund. But
Completely.
yeah, I definitely would probably lean towards the 2 picks as far as that. But yeah, so you got to throw that in the whole package there to get Cole.
Yeah.
That's steep. That's steep.
It is. It's very interesting, and obviously, all or both of those trades between teams that are not competing this year, right?
Right.
Which I feel like only adds to the oddity of why these trades are even being made between these teams. I mean, I get it from Mark's perspective, getting the 2 firsts. Obviously, that is a huge help for him. But it's just hilarious that these teams are trading amongst each other as opposed to trading to the contenders, right? It's kind of
I'm inspired. I say.
Right? It's kind of like irony in and of itself, but yeah, I thought it was really, really interesting. So anything else? Did you want to talk about any other trades on there?
I think there was one more, and it was just it was a Trade Turner trade. So it looks like Giants are acquiring another Infinity Stone, which I don't know if there's trades at that point right now. He's not the normal trade that we know and love, but still, it's Trade Turner.
Playing decent enough.
Trade Turner.
Yeah.
Yep,
playing
that's
decent
okay.
enough.
A very serviceable shortstop. Any team would be pretty okay to have him. So, it looks like then they give up. His predecessor's not going to be happy about it.
Dude, I was literally just going to say we had Josh on a week too early.
Yes, he would have had a freaking nerve on his forehead.
I should have screenshotted it and sent him and been like, "Hey, send me your comments on this one."
And then also, send Senga in the deal too, which I don't remember Senga's contract. Is that a salary? No, he's coming back this year, so it's not a salary dump.
I was gonna say it shouldn't be.
So he's on a 2026 for $22. That's definitely not even close to a salary dump.
No.
Honestly, that's a good deal for the White Sox.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. It's a good little pickup for him, and he's got guys like Bobby Miller sitting down there still. DL Hall sitting down there still, all on longer contracts that are hurts. He's still got Ty Madden, Max Meyer. Like he could very well have a nice little rotation. He's obviously got Glasnow too. He's got Fat. Yeah. He's sitting in a good spot with where his team will be at, assuming again he doesn't just completely dump obviously in year 2 as well. So. We shall see. Anyway, all right, let's move on to this last piece here. I will pull up the head-to-head schedule. All right, we are in, let's see, we're in week 11. No, we're in week 12, right?
Yeah, we're in week 12. Yes, we're in week 12.
Okay, so I know you did more of the work here, so why don't you go ahead and start?
Yeah, it's kind of a casual week. I wouldn't put too much stock in anything I'm about to say, but we have a heavyweight fight. I would like to qualify it as Cardinals versus Giants. You can kind of decide who you got in your top 3, I guess, but I think you got to have Cardinals and Giants in that top 3. You can mix and match whoever, but those 2 have got to be in there. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that kind of plays out throughout the week. Definitely not going to count either team out throughout this whole thing. So. And then also on top of that, we have the Mets, who, of course, put up a huge week last week, still gunning for that first spot. They got a bit of I would want to say like a gauntlet, but a tough week.
Harder
schedule. 2 of their division rivals.
Yep.
That's kind of the main takeaway I've seen.
Yep.
They're playing the Nationals and the Marlins. Marlins, I would say, are probably their fiercest rivals. So both of those teams bought in. So at least putting the Marlins down 1 would be huge for them.
Be really helpful. That win. Yeah, really helpful for them. And
you got to face the Dodgers.
That's what I wanted to focus on that last game, the Mets Dodgers, because you mentioned Giants Cardinals, and then we have Mets Dodgers. Just looking over here, we have the Orioles Phillies. That's another top 5 matchup. Jeff and I get to play each other this week, so another top 5 matchup. So there's a good amount of singular games. It looks like this week that could, not necessarily shake up things at the top, but could certainly, if a couple of teams, like if the Mets end up somehow losing all 3 of those games with all the moves they just made, that'd be really tough. But on the other end, they beat all 3 of those teams. That's so many positives. Yeah, there's so many positives for him on one side of it. So yeah, it'll be really, really interesting to see how that changes the standings, changes the power rankings at all. But Anything else on the schedule before I had one last thing for you?
No, go for it.
Okay, so my last thing is, and this is more so because we have 20 weeks in the regular season, right? So we're a little bit over
Take a little gander here.
half, I believe.
Yeah, it looks right. Yeah.
So you and I talked about potentially, sometime around mid-season, maybe even over the actual MLB All-Star break, doing something along the lines of coming up with our own All-Star rosters. And so we haven't finalized that idea yet. I wanted to put it out for our fellow viewers and fellow league members. If they have any thoughts or ideas about how we can go about doing that maybe makes it fun on the show. I think we'll probably do it live in some capacity, but I think our thought right now is more, one of us gets AL, one of us gets NL. We do a deep dive on all the teams, figure out, the roster size, stuff like that. But yeah, just wanted to kind of throw that out there and see if there was anything you maybe wanted to add to the rest of the league members watching, and just, I guess say, what are your thoughts on how we're going to go about doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know how we're going to do it, but just picking dudes and throwing them on teams, that's what I live for. So any reason to do it, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it, because I think it could create some kind of not only discussion points, but it'll be really interesting to see kind of like the tweaks and stuff, that we make, potentially some interesting names being picked, etc. So it'll be kind of interesting. But just wanted to throw that out there for everyone, just so everyone knows. But last but not least, your dad was in the chat, said welcome back. I gotta say, appreciate it as always. But yeah, outside of that is all I have for this week. So Cal, thanks so much, my man. Enjoy the rest of your week. Good luck to everyone in the ABL, and we'll have it all ironed out and ready to go next week for sure. So have a good rest of the week, guys. See you later.
See you guys.